8.10 Estimating a real company's cost of capital. Pfizer. In the previous sections, we calculated the cost of capital for hypothetical examples. Now we will calculate the cost of capital for a real company, in this case Pfizer. So starting with the cost of equity, let us check www.reuters.com, ticker symbol PFE for Pfizer. The website reported the market capitalization of Pfizer's equity, which is the share price times number of shares outstanding, as $156.681 billion. And to estimate Pfizer's cost of equity, we will assume a market risk premium of 9%. You could calculate Pfizer's equity beta by regressing 5 years of monthly stock returns for Pfizer on the market return, as we did before in this course. A common shortcut is to look up a company's equity beta online, and also note that the company's equity beta as reported on financial websites may differ, as the calculations may differ. Recall that the sample period, choice of weekly or monthly returns, and the choice of the market portfolio may affect the beta calculations as we mentioned before in this course. For example, Pfizer's beta on Reuters was 0.67. I used the US 7-year notes yield to maturity as the risk-free rate as of 14th of June 2024, and it was 4.207%. So using Pfizer's beta in the CAPM, capital asset pricing model, to estimate the cost of equity, I will get the following. So cost of equity of Pfizer actually represented by our subscript S, risk-free rate 4.207% plus beta of Pfizer actually, which was read on Reuters as 0.67 multiplied by equity risk premium, in which case we assumed 9%. So this will be equal to 10.237%. This will be cost of equity for Pfizer. Again, remember, to get the risk-free rate, you can rely on the information on Wall Street Journal. I put the link in here. As you will see, the yield on US 7-year note as of 14th of June 2024 was 4.207%, and I use this risk-free rate in my calculations because it is not short-term, but also it is not long-term. And also when you look at these yields in here, actually they don't deviate much. They are actually, apart from the very short-term, short duration bonds, actually the longer-term bonds have at around similar yields. But in that case, I use the yield on 7-year notes in my beta calculations, and also especially cost of equity calculation by using CAPM. And remember, in CAPM, you need to estimate the risk-free rate. And the information I took from Reuters actually is here the market cap at around $157 billion for Pfizer. I used it in my calculation, and the beta again on Reuters was 0.67, but on Yahoo Finance actually based on 5-year monthly assumptions, beta of Pfizer stock is 0.64. I put the link in here. And of course, in order to calculate the beta of Pfizer, remember, you need to calculate monthly returns for the last 5 years. So the time period you will be looking at should start on January 1st, 2019 and should end on December 31st, 2023. Historical prices, choose monthly, and you can download this data so that you will be able to calculate monthly returns on Pfizer stock, and these returns will be then regressed on the returns on the market portfolio, which will be S&P 500 in our case. So of course you need to calculate monthly returns on S&P 500 as well. As we did before, you can rely on the information on FRED, Federal Reserve Economic Data. Just use this link and modify frequency to monthly, and aggregation method will be end of period. And again, you can download this data and calculate the monthly returns on S&P 500, which will be your market portfolio in your calculation of beta. So as we did before, remember, calculate monthly returns on Pfizer stock, monthly returns on S&P 500, and deviations from the mean for Pfizer and deviations from the mean for S&P 500. Of course, deviation from the mean for S&P 500, we will be squaring these values because we need the variance of the returns on the market portfolio. Again, you can follow the algebraic long solution. Covariance can be calculated through these deviations from the mean. You need to actually multiply these deviations from the mean for Pfizer and deviations from the mean for S&P 500. And then, of course, you should divide this value by the number of observations minus 1 because we are looking at the sample case in here. We are looking at the historical past data. And for variance, again, deviations from the mean S&P 500 squared, actually the average of these deviations squared will give you the variance of the return on the market portfolio. But again, the denominator will be number of observations minus 1 because again we are following the sample procedure here, and beta will be this covariance divided by the variance. You will end up having a beta of 0.60 or so. You can of course rely on Excel functions in your short calculations. Covariance, the monthly returns be on Pfizer and monthly returns on S&P 500. Just use covariance.s Excel function. You get the same covariance value as that calculated above. And for the variance, again, just variance, S variance for the sample for the monthly returns on S&P 500. And beta will be this covariance value divided by the variance. Again, this value is the same as that calculated in the cell. So also, again, you can regress. Remember, this is the third option. Pfizer monthly returns can be regressed on S&P 500 monthly returns, and you will end up having this linear line, and this is the equation of this line, and the slope of this line should be your beta, which is the same as those calculated in here. So if I were to use my own beta calculation, the cost of equity for Pfizer will be again risk-free rate 4.207% plus my beta the beta I calculated in here, which is 0.6037. This is the same in each of these calculations multiplied by equity risk premium, which will be equal to 9.64%. So not much different from the values shared on the financial websites, Yahoo and Reuters in this case, but I will stick with my own calculation and cost of equity values, my own calculation of beta, and my own based on that beta. Actually, I calculated the cost of equity as this value, and I will be using this cost of equity in my calculation of the weighted average cost of capital for Pfizer. So I will be using this 9.64 in my calculations. And in a minute, I will be showing you my Excel calculations and how I actually calculated the beta of the Pfizer stock.